Hello, everyone. I made it. My name is Michael Zinn. You made it. You are here with me. This is the live stream of consciousness. And we are here together to experience it in this moment. I'm very excited tonight. I have a wonderful, wonderful guest. The live stream of consciousness. If you haven't been here before, it's a place where I usually invite a guest. Who's got a specific thing happening, and we have a conversation about life and existence and some of that cool stuff. And then I create some space to for them to share who they are and what they do, because I'm intrigued by it in some way. And that's what's happening tonight. What's up? I see Jilly out there. I see Tim's out there. I see Ninja Kitty's out there. What's up, guys? Um, Tonight I have a special guest. I've been watching Jesse Howe, and I had him on the show. He's got his own show called The Missing Link, and I saw he had this guest who was just so enchanting. I like fell in love immediately with her being, the way she spoke, what she was saying, the energy. It was just an energetic thing, which is kind of cool. And what we always talk about, how energy is everything, and that energy exchange is everything. And here I am, just listening to an interview and having an energy exchange. So it was really awesome. She has her own podcast. One is called Heart Warriors, and one is called Man Speak. And she is from Australia. So it is Thursday, February 9th here, but I do believe that it's Friday, February 10th over there. I could be wrong. But I think the live stream of consciousness has gone international with my next guest. Welcome to the live stream, Gemma Star. How you doing?
Hey, hi, Michael. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here. I'm so excited to talk to you, and I've been watching what you're doing, and I'm just really excited. And Jilly B is excited as well. So am I right? Is it Friday over there? Friday morning?
It's Friday noon, just
It's
gone
Friday.
noon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. I mean, it's
In the middle of summer.
in the middle of summer. Wow, that's cool. The live stream has definitely entered a new paradigm just by connecting with you over the airwaves through that.
We're time traveling, right?
We're time traveling, and Tim is in Brazil. So
hey, Tim.
He says hola. But I want to talk to you about what it is that you're doing. I don't know if you noticed, but I molded my intro a little bit after yours because I've been watching you, and I just love the way you introduced your broadcast. So I just tried to get a couple of elements in there that I like. But before we do that, I've got to ask you the standard live stream of consciousness questions. And the first one is, what is consciousness? What is consciousness to you, Gemma Star?
Gosh, the thing that connects us all, that energy that, you spoke about earlier, that is everywhere and connects everything that's living, from plants, animals, even, rocks and water. It's the God spark that infiltrates absolutely everything.
Nice. Excellent. Wow. I love how you compacted that into such a nice, concise, short answer. And actually, I love that question because everybody's got like a little bit of a different answer, but very similar. And I've been noticing like the point of view that kind of people answer from, some people from the I am, some people from the collective, and you just kind of answered from the space in between all of that, which was actually really cool. I really like that. That's awesome. Great answer. So we're really getting a nice full definition of what consciousness is. And the second question is this. I mean, again, I was just really enchanted by listening to you speak. There's such wisdom, compassion, connection, in listening to you speak. You're definitely connected to the collective vibration of humanity, and I feel like there had to be a moment that and actually I did see you express it in one of your poems, that everything we've been told is kind of not really how everything is, right? So the second question I usually ask is, was there a specific moment that you realized that, or is it something you've known since you were a child, or tell me about that?
I think there's different levels of awakening. You know, if the one you're referring to is sort of, you know, the matrix, the realization that, you know, we are being lied to about everything. For me, that came through in about 2012. You know, I came across a few 9/11 posts on Facebook, and that was enough to, you know, take me down all those rabbit holes for
Right.
a few years until it sort of became overwhelming. And then I backed completely out of it. But then I realized I needed my heart awakening. So then I got into meditation, my writing started coming through, and that was a whole different realm. So then we kick back to 2020 when all this, you know, COVID stuff comes out, and I was able to get back into the truth of seeing, but through the energy of the heart. So, you know, the whole integration and being able to see it from a whole grounded perspective, which was, yeah, just a beautiful cycle of how it happened for me.
That's interesting. I do feel like again, I mean, I don't love the words conspiracy theory, but I love how that was kind of almost like, you know, that's kind of a part of the exploratory path to truth, right? And you know, and I just, yeah, I love what you're expressing there. That's cool. That's awesome. And I feel like, you know, the coronavirus and the pandemic has been very instrumental in a lot of people kind of looking inside, really having no choice but to go inside instead of like all of this panic and fear, and like you feel the world burning down outside of you, right? And you could either just run around and be like, ah, or you could meditate, like you said, and go inside and realize that there's more strength within you and who you are, and that definitely comes across in what you do. And so awesome. I think those are two. You've been initiated into the live stream of consciousness. And it's just so cool talking to you and listening to your accent and knowing that we're like on the other side of the planet. That's just, again, I can't kind of get over that.
Just
um
across the ocean.
just across the ocean. And Jill is jumping ahead. I'm going to talk about all this stuff. Jill is saying, where can we find your poetry book? So I've billed you, and I think I got it probably from one of your descriptions, as a metaphysical poet, uh, uh, um, um, and a metaphysical writer, and a poet from the planet Earth. I think that was something I got from your Facebook. And I got a couple of comments on how cool that was. Um, but before we talk about that, I wanted to talk about what you're currently doing, which is the same thing that we're doing right here, you know, interviewing people. But you have definitely a super interesting spin on it. You are a divine feminine power who's come into her own, you know, authenticity, and you have chosen to interview men and kind of bring this, you know, you could feel this super intention on bringing this masculine feminine balance to the vibration, right? And I think that's what you're trying to do. So I'm going to let me just bring up your YouTube page, because that's the first thing I want to talk about
Yeah,
here.
I'll just make a slight readjustment on something you said. I
Okay.
didn't choose this. I think it was chosen for me. You know,
Okay.
I literally, because I had the connection with Katajuda and Uluru, which is the sacred masculine and feminine sites in Australia, Central Australia. I've been connected with them probably about 5 years now. I've been out several times. And it was through a couple of the soul brothers that, you know, I've been connected to out there. We reconnected in July. And to cut a long story short, one day I just woke up and I'm like, oh, I'm going to interview men. Okay, I better start a YouTube channel. So
That's
you know,
awesome.
that's why
That's
I
awesome.
say it was
You
chosen
know
for
what?
me.
Yeah, no, you know what? Thanks for correcting me. You do say that in your intro. I think that's so cool. This was like kind of like you've been guided to do it. You've been inspired to do it. I've definitely been inspired to do this, and it's a part of, again, kind of what we were talking about earlier when we were testing out the camera, like, you know, the connection of the collective and being able to, you know, I just saw you on another show, and it was an energetic, like, okay, this woman is from the cosmos, you know what I mean? She knows her connection to the cosmos, and I'm connected to that too. So, you know, it was instantly like, okay, let's have a conversation. And that's cool. And I don't want you to make a long story short. I was actually going to ask you about your connection, you know, to Kata Jana and to Kata Juta and Uluru. And we could get to that in a minute. I want people to see where they can find you on YouTube. Your YouTube channel is just Gemma Star, and all of the episodes of your shows can be found there. The Heart Warriors and the Man Speak. So tell me, which came first?
Oh, definitely Heart Warriors, because how that happened is, okay, so I'm going to interview 100 men. And I'm actually glad I got that number, because I don't know without that number if I would have kept on going. I mean, I enjoyed it, but, you know, I said it, that goal came through. So I'm like, well, I'm going to, you know, keep going. But what happened is the subject of meditation kept coming up. And, you know, a lot of men were saying, well, I've tried to meditate and, you know, it doesn't work for me. And I thought, wow, it would be really cool to do just one whole show with a man, a meditation teacher, you know, giving some tips and guidance. And I thought, well, it's too big a subject to take one Heart Warrior episode, because they're 90 minutes each and each man only gets one. So I thought, well, I'll do a kickoff, an offshoot series, and I named it Man Speak, where men can come back. They've got to be Heart Warriors first. So they've got to have an episode, on Heart Warriors. And literally they can come back and talk about anything they want that they're passionate about. I mean, you know, something that loosely connects to men and masculinity, or, you know, the journey, healing journey. So they're each men, if I ask them to come back, they choose their own subject. And, you know, we still haven't done one on meditation.
Wow.
We'll get there, but we've done about, I think, 19 of those. And, you know, there's been a few men who have done several, and some that have done one. And, you know, some have got open invitations and they just come back. And yeah,
That's awesome.
It's really cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. And I love just the way that you're connected to your own broadcast, that it's like, it's leading you. You're not, you know, it tells you what to do. You know, the fact that I just love the way you express that, you know, that you were guided to interview 100 men, and that just made sense to you. So you were like, okay, that makes sense. I'm just going to do it. and that's how it
really makes sense, but I didn't question it. You know, I was just like, oh, okay, so who shall I interview? And I got one of my soul brothers from there, and I'm like, okay, you can be first up, Lardy. And then I remember saying to him, well, who am I going to interview next? What am I going to do? So then I just looked through my Facebook feed and some more, you know, some men that I thought they'd be really cool. And yeah, so that's how it sort of happened.
And I would say the common thread is probably just like a high vibration, right? I mean, somebody who's kind of connected to their own masculinity and the vibration of the earth, you know, and humanity.
For sure. I mean, men that are definitely on the healing journey. I mean, probably about half of them are sort of mentors, coaches. You know, the realm, the space for men's healing now, the men's movement, we'll call it, is massive, and it's growing, and it's just, you know, such an incredible space now for men to come into. Because how I see it happened is that, you know, it was all about women mainly the past sort of 6-7 years, and I think the feminine had to heal her heart first, so she could now be that soft space that men can drop their defenses and their attacks and come into this healing realm as well. You know, we had to go on our journey. It's a journey together. But while the feminine was wounded and in her masculine, men couldn't come into that healing space because they didn't feel it was, well, I mean, speaking for men, but which I don't like to do. And I always get into this. One of the reasons I did the show, so that, because, you know, and I was guilty of it too, you know, trying to maybe guide men with the best of intentions, what women wanted men to be, but they need to hear it from other men. And that was another reason I did the show, so that I literally do the minimal amount of talking, just keep the conversation going with questions. But I don't give my opinions, I stay neutral, and the men do all the talking, generally men to men, but a lot of women watch it as well. And I think that's because they get this healthy dollop of masculinity, you know, healthy masculinity, which is always beautiful for us to see.
Right. Well, I think like instantly, you know, you open up this very balanced space, you know, where both men and women probably feel comfortable, and it's just like sitting around the campfire, you know, and everybody's in harmony. Really, really good. Really, really good. And we have one of your fans out there. I love Heart Warriors and Man Speak. I watched them all. Awesome. Awesome.
She does.
So I want you now to do not make the long story short. You said that this came to you on a visit to Katajuta. Tell us a little bit about this place and what happened.
Well, the message to do the Heart Warrior series didn't come through here, but it
Oh,
came through because I have connections with here. Yep. This is the sacred masculine site in Central Australia. It's called Katajuta. Another name, the English name for it is the Olgas, which some people might still know it by. And it's about 60 kilometres, so what's that, about 40 miles from Uluru. So it's about a 40-minute drive. You can actually see it from Uluru. And it's actually, I don't know how many boulders, like actual rocks are there, but there's a couple of walks you can do when you're there. There's a gorge and the other one, which is much longer, you can walk around. And yeah, it's not as well known as Uluru, but pretty much that sums it up.
so did that message come through at Uluru? Uluru? Is it Uluru?
No, it came through just sitting here where I live in. Well, I woke up. I literally, in my bed, I woke up.
Wow. Okay.
Oh,
So, but it came through connected from the energy, you think, connected to Uluru. I wanted to show.
yeah, that's Uluru.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you could see
Because I've been
Katujana.
talking to these two soul brothers, and what had happened is that, we sort of connected on, one of them did a live chat, and we sort of, three of us ended up on there. We're like, oh, hey, it's really nice to be together again. And I said, oh, I'll repost the post that I did when we did a whole pilgrimage, a healing journey at Katajuta one day. And then one of them said, oh, can you read it to me in Messenger? Because, I like it better with your energy. And I said, okay. And then the other one said, I'll post it live, and I'm like, no, I don't put my face out. I'm a writer. I, sort of change my profile picture twice a year, I'm not. And he sort of pushed me, not gently, the masculine, it's like, you should, it'd be really good to. And then, yeah, I did. I read it, and the first thing on this YouTube channel is me reading. It's about a 6-minute clip, and first time I'd ever done any video editing. I sort of just made this 6-minute clip, and I would put the writing in it as well, and read it. And then the next day, yeah, I woke up and it was like, yeah, the series was just all in my head. So I wasn't actually at Katajuta, but that was the connection, reconnecting with these two brothers.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha. So actually, I'm looking at that painting behind you, and I'm kind of feeling such a similar energy. Is that like an
There's
abstract?
Katajuta in the background. Can you see?
Oh yeah. Okay.
That's the distance between them.
Yeah. Over here in the background.
Yeah, on the right. Yeah.
Yep. I do see that. And then I did some, I was trying to do some research just to find some stuff out about you. And I've been looking at your Facebook page ever since I saw you on Jesse's show. So I know your poetry. I want to get to that in a little bit. But I didn't really find much other than, your YouTube page and what you've been doing. So I didn't know, while I was looking at the Uluru and Katajuta stuff, I found this. What do you think of this? Is this something that's real, or is this have you seen this before, the connection between the two of them?
Yeah, there's plenty of stories. I mean, I've been out to the Aboriginal settlement out there and asked them, and they've just been so cut off from their heritage. It's really sad, because most of them don't even have a story to tell me, which is really sad. But there's stories of crystal cities, of crystal links. Now you got to remember that what's it called? Pine Gap is conveniently very close. Well, it's 400 kilometers away, 300 miles. Mm-hmm. So, very convenient that massive center of the deep state is so close to our beautiful heart center in Australia, but it's the solar plexus chakra on the earth energy grid, which is connected to Gladstoneberry, which is the heart chakra. So, there's a lot, who knows what's on under there, but there's definitely a lot of stories about connections, crystal connections, and, people who have intuitively sort of been there.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. And I did find I didn't save this page. I should have. I found something when I was looking up Gemma Star about it. The actual star in the constellation that was the brightest star. Is that where you got the inspiration for your name, or is where's the name?
Oh no, well that was gosh. So I was originally Karen, but my surname I changed in gosh, it'd be say 20 years ago, because when I divorced, I didn't want to keep my ex-husband's name, and I didn't want to go back to my maiden name. I was like, I want to be me. So I thought, I wasn't even had never heard of star seeds or anything like that back then. I just wanted something that was positive and connected to nature. And I thought, oh, I can't rush it. So I sat with it for a year, and then I was like, oh yeah, I'll change it. And just, energetically, like a lot of people like, what, you can just go and change your name? I mean, here it costs like less than $200, which is only about $120 or $30 US.
So you officially changed your name. Wow.
So, and then Karen, I changed to Gemma 18 months ago, because in the like Black Lives Matters and all that, I got hit hard when I was really into the truth scene, and I was getting hit hard with, paid deep state trolls, and they put my posts in their troll groups, and, get hit really hard. And I sort of rode with it for a couple of years, because I thought, well, I don't want to just be triggered because of my name. And Karen is actually a beautiful name. It's got, it's funny, it's connected to, I think it means divine union, and it means masculine, feminine energies, and it means pure. That's it, pure. So but in the end, one day, about 4 years later, whatever, and I was like, oh, if I did change it, what would I change it to? And I thought, well, if my youngest son had been a girl, I wanted to call him Gemma. Oh. And I thought, well, I still like it 20 years later. Boom, I sent it off the next day. It was Sunday, awesome. I sent it off on the Monday. Because then if you've got to start going through all the names, and I actually love it. It's like it's for anyone who's contemplating it, changing your name it's amazing. It's like, just to be who you are and not who you were named by your parents or by, the system or whatever. It's, actually quite empowering. Yeah.
Totally. I've seen people who change their name and there's like, it's not authentic, but then there's people who I've seen change their name and I'm like, wow, you actually became what you changed your name to, and it's like and I didn't even think twice when I saw that was your name, that it was like made up or not your real name. That's who you are to me.
It's legal. Yeah, it's my real name. It's on my passport. So yeah.
But that's who you are to me. That's who I was introduced you to as, and that's who I see you as. And it's interesting that there was no cosmic inspiration for it but later you learned about the cosmic connection with humanity, I guess, and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Which is very cool. So I was just trying to see what that quote was about the brightest star. I don't see it really quickly.
Oh, someone sent me that in Messenger, and I just thought it was pretty cool, because it was awesome. About that comet that was coming through a couple of weeks ago and going through some star system, and there was actually, she messaged me to say, oh look, there's actually a star called Gemma. So I thought, oh, that's cool, I'll share that.
Totally. So let's get to actually Jill's question about your poetry, and let's start talking about that a little bit. You're telling me a little bit about it, but I'm going to share the screen here, because you can get Gemma's book on Amazon, or actually it's when she was still Karen, right?
Yeah.
And it's called And Then I Met You. I'm just going to put that up on the screen so you guys
that's light language on the cover as well, just incidentally.
What is that?
That's light language on the cover.
I'm so fascinated with light language. Wow. And is that something you channeled?
Well, I can speak it, but the visual, I got someone else to do, a lady, I can't remember her name now. It's in the cover, that I don't see her on Facebook anymore, but she used to do all these images, and the publishing company sent me these images, and they were those sort of, like typical romantic. And I'm like, no, I don't like that frequency. No. So I said, hey, can you please do a cover for my book in light language? So that there holds all the frequency of the union and the divine masculine and feminine. So yeah.
Oh, yeah, I definitely can see that and feel that. Totally awesome. I think I actually have that by itself. Yeah, there it is. So people can see that.
Oh, thank you. Now that was just the first 2 years of my writing. You know, someone kept saying, "Oh, you should write a book. You should write a book," and I was like, "Oh," and you know, in the end, I did. So it's about the first 2 years, which is pretty cool. They're all in sort of chapters of, you know, what the stages we go through, and I guess, and we're all always in one of these stages. You know, I can't remember now all the chapters, but it goes through, you know, the stages of relationships and then coming into union, and then the last one, and then I met you, is when you meet yourself and the masculine and feminine within you, and the union within you, which ultimately is often reflected in a divine counterpart. But so it's all one and the same, you know. It's all,
yeah, absolutely. I feel that too, and that's something I always talk about the live stream of consciousness came about because part of my journey was meeting a lot of people with different modalities, psychic mediums, you know, as Akashic records readers, all different channelers, you know, different people doing different things, and I was like, wow, this is really all the same. It's all coming from source energy, you know, and it's all vibrating the same to me, even though it's coming at me from these different angles. And so I just wanted to bring those people on and have these different conversations, and it's brought me like so many interesting people. You know, when I talk to somebody I don't know, it's great because I feel like I'm making a new friend, and this is cool because it's like I said, I know I keep saying it, but you're on the other side, across the pond, you know, whatever you might say, but you're not local, you're not somebody I knew before. But I definitely feel like, you know, we come from the same cosmos. You seem to be connected to the Kata Juta and Uluru, and I'm connected more celestial to Orion somehow. So I'm still trying to figure that out. But that's awesome. So tell us about your journey. Then you were saying this is the first 2 years of your writing. Where are you now? I know I had your Facebook page set up here. Oh, here it is. Let me see if I can open this up and get it to be a little bit bigger here. Because this is one that I really liked. Oh, it was not that one. It was this one. So because we're always talking about the moment, and I don't know if you probably can't see that. Let me see if I can get it any closer. I'll read it if you don't mind. Can I read it?
sure.
Or can you see it, and will you be able to read it, or do you know it?
Yeah, but I'm happy for you to read it.
So this is what day is it? It's now, the only day we'll ever have, because yesterday is gone and tomorrow never arrives. Let's add color to our world. Paint rainbows, dance in the rain, give everyone a gift of your smile. Believe your dreams are unfolding. Trust the universe has your back. See the spark of the divine in everyone. Laugh until you cry. Give yourself permission to be happy. Create miracles. I love that. That's just it's like a philosophy. It's like, you know, words to live by.
Well, some of them are like prose like that, and some of them, you know, like the one above, it's more, you know, I guess what you'd call classical poetry.
Oh, okay.
Or one of a label that, you know, sort of rhymes, and, you know, there's definitely, you know, rhyme and rhythm to it. But yeah, so sometimes they come through like that. Sometimes they come through like prose. I just write whatever comes through.
Right. And something that's, I think, pretty obviously, especially with the imagery that you choose, is there's a very kind of passionate connection between the male and the female energy always, or a lot of times I see like a more of like a warrior, but the female warrior too, and sometimes it's a more romantic embrace. Where's that all coming from? I mean, obviously your connection to it, but tell us more about you.
Well, it was just really my journey, the past, say, 7 years. Like, so in the middle of 2016, I got away from the truther scene. I was in the troll scene. I was in a, that sort of yucky place on the internet. And I just had a month break offline and sort of reconnected. And in the middle of that year, 2016, I got into meditation and I started daily meditating. And at the time, I think I had a online connection with a guy. So there's all these romantic things sort of happening. And it was like, so, and then, that faded out. And so I think it was about November, when exactly the month Trump got elected, I was meditating. So it had been 4 months and I just, you go with a head full of thoughts and it's like, I just started downloading. Some of them were like full-blown poems. Some were like just little 4-liners, whatever it was. And I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. I'll post it on Facebook. And because I know I was more surprised than me. I hadn't done any writing since I was at school. It was like, I didn't even know I had a creative spark. And then it just built from there. After a few, I thought, oh, I'll have nothing else to write about. And now, so what are we, six years later? I've got probably close to 1,500 pieces on Facebook between my, poetry album, and I've got like Sacred Lovers and Quantum Humanity. I sort of divide them up into these 6 or 7 albums. But yeah, so a lot of it was, I always write from my own experience. So every piece has been either me processing or a way of connecting with someone else, or just expressing my thoughts or my feelings, so yeah, there was times I was in a relationship, and so working through those things, and then other times it was a distant thing, so that sort of wanting to connect physically but doing it through the ethers. And it's beautiful because this is how it all sort of comes through, and I'm really happy now that it came through that way, because so just the expression of everything was always written from what I was going through.
That's awesome. And I just love watching you talk about it, because you have such this bright smile just talking about where it's coming from. And I think that reading your poetry, I can't imagine it not resonating with other people. Like I'm like, wow, this is so eloquently expressed, that I can't imagine somebody not feeling the way I'm feeling, right? When I'm receiving it, I'm like, wow, it's really good stuff, and I definitely recommend it. I just want to go back a little bit and just address some comments. We were talking about you changing your name. We have a friend named Sunshine who just went through a toxic relationship, and just kind of said, you know what, I'm not my past, I'm my future, and I am Sunshine, and literally became Sunshine. And she did it too. Anne is saying your name is very fitting. You shine like a star, and precious and rare like a gem. That's beautiful. And Jilly ordered your book. She loved the poem that we read, and
thank you, Jilly.
Ordered your book. So that's awesome. I love being able to make ripples and introduce people to people. It's it's interesting. It's always, I just made that connection right now. It's always been a skill of mine that I would like introduce a friend to another person, and then 2 weeks later, they're like, oh, you see what me and Joe are doing? Like, they're working together, just because I made that connection. And I've always done that. So that's probably part of what this show is about, just helping people connect and spread their light. And I got to say, you are such a light. So tell us, what are your plans? Like, what's going on exactly? You were writing first, and you started doing this broadcast. It was told to you. What have you been told what to do next, or you have to figure it out yourself?
No, but if there's something, it'll come. I'm not a planner of the future. I'm very happy what I'm doing today. I'm not trying to be a successful writer or big on YouTube or anything. I just write. I'm only on Facebook. I haven't expanded to other social media because Facebook is time consuming as it is. So I'm not trying to go anywhere. I mean, my writing has been a gift to me, because having been very shut down as a child, and even through my marriage, finally I could express myself, and I could express myself in a way that in theory, I was giving it to the whole world. Now, it was always everyone's individual choice. So I wasn't pushing it on anyone. It's like, hey, it's here if it resonates with anyone. But the fact that I could actually speak on a worldwide platform was huge for my healing journey. You know, so finally, you know, I had a voice. And so, yeah, my writing is, I've always said, is for me. And if someone else resonates and enjoys it, you know, that's a bonus.
No, that, you know what?
Another 10 books. I have the writing for another 10 books, but you know,
that's awesome. And and I would just say keep putting them out, because you definitely, I mean, to me, you have something. I mean, I didn't like when I do this. It's for me, right? I love these conversations. I don't look at my own numbers. I didn't look at your numbers and say, oh, does she have like thousands and thousands of followers? So I didn't even know that when we were talking earlier, you said you've only been doing the shows for about 7 months. I mean, I thought you'd been doing it for a couple of years, you know? But you know, I definitely resonate with what you're saying. Like, this is for me. I love doing this. It's just a way to explore connections, you know, with people who I find are interesting. You know, I got to speak to Tommy Chong. I got to speak to Flat Earth Dave, you know, like really interesting people. And it was like the reason I wanted to speak to them was to find the common ground, not to argue, you know, to make the connection. And it was really cool to do that. You know, I got a lot of comments on the Flat Earth Dave episode, and people appreciated the respect I had, because the reason I had him on was I just saw people fighting with him. Apparently he's got a huge following as well, so there are plenty of videos where people are cheering him on, you know, but I just saw people fighting with him and disrespecting him, and I just, you know, I don't love that energy at all. So I tried to bring some balance to it and have him on the show.
Nice one.
Cool. So so I asked you what's next. I feel like we went through everything like I wanted to talk about. Tell me what you want to talk about. I'm looking at the time here. We still got 20 minutes. I want to.
All right. Well, let's talk about men. Let's do an interview about men.
Okay, let's talk about men.
Yeah. What's can I be the interviewer?
Sure. Let's do it.
You're a man. I have to get you on my show. Yeah. Let's talk about what men are going through. So up to now, I've interviewed 66 men. Plus, I've done 19 Men Speaks. Plus, there were a couple that didn't make it onto YouTube. So all in all, what's that? A good 90, 60, 80, 90, close enough.
That's great.
So, yeah, this is time for our men to rise. And the reason is, like, I think the deep state has purposely suppressed the healthy male energy, because it is the greatest I guess the greatest resource for humanity to stand up against the deep state. Mm-hmm. So they purposely suppressed it. So now the men need to rise up, and it's for us women to just love them and help them and to become their authentic selves. Mm. And this is the current that's run through every single show, is that men need to find their authenticity. This coming from other men. This is not me saying what men need to do, right? The men are saying each one on their healing journey had to come into their authenticity. And it's interesting, even on the polarity spectrum, because there's a lot of talk about polarity on Facebook as well. And the other post I posted today, I wrote that back in 2018, where I was saying it's up for each man to find their healthy, authentic place on the polarity spectrum between masculine and feminine energies. And then the last couple of years, there's been some really, let's say, a strong push that masculine men have to be 90%, 80% masculine to be considered healthy men on their healed journey. So I've been asking men about this, and I really, from what the men are telling me, it's not true. You know, men can be healthy men in their masculinity and have a good dollop of femininity in them, because there's healthy masculinity and there's wounded masculinity, and there's healthy femininity and there's wounded femininity. So it's just that as long as we're in the healthy aspects of those energies, we're good, you know, and then we find our authentic place on the spectrum. You know, some men are more in their masculine, and they're the ones that are more directive and, they've got their roles. Then there's the ones that are more creative, because everything starts through creation, right?
Absolutely.
Nothing can happen without the creative force.
Absolutely. Sure.
So, it all balances out. And we don't want a whole lot of cookie cutter men either. And it's been good for women to see this too, because this big polarity push, we're all thinking, well, hang on, is there only sort of what's supposed to be one type of man? And definitely not from the men, I interviewed. So they're all so different, all in their healthy masculinity. So that's been really eye-opening. And just the whole, I generally go into, I ask the man who he is without his labels. I'm not into labels. So glad you didn't ask me that question.
You know what? I should have. I saw you do it a couple of times.
Time ago. Yeah, I write poetry, and it's like
you just wait, Gemma. Someone's going to ask you that question. You just wait. Someone's going to make you.
Oh, they do, and I'm just like, I don't know. What am I? I'm me. I'm a fractal of source. I don't know. A reflection of you. How's that? I'm a reflection.
Oh, that's
of you.
awesome. Well, you know what? I love what you're saying, and I have to say this too. I think that for me, I'm definitely a certain type of man, and I'm more on the creative side. So I'm more not like, I'm not like, oh, I want to box somebody, you know what I mean? Or like that, express that masculinity, but I'm not threatened by that. You know what I mean? So I think what you said about there's healthy masculinity and there's unhealthy masculinity and femininity, I think it's humanity, right? And there's unhealthy humanity. And I think that's really, I guess, and I'm doing what I'm going to say I don't like, which is generalizing, right? When people say, "Oh, men are this or men are that," that's such generalization. And like you said, everybody is different, but every human is different. And I think that, so I see people going after feminists and going after this group or that group, and it's really like, no, it's just healthy and unhealthy, right? And again, I don't want to necessarily generalize, but I think that's a fair split, right? I mean, when people are aware that they're a human on a planet with other humans and they need to exist with some sort of respect and unity, that's healthy. Right.
Yeah.
And then anything outside of that is really kind of not healthy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a distinction, for example, between men who are controlling and men who are assertive, or
absolutely
directive. So it's that, and it's all a difference between power versus force. It's an amazing book, one of my absolute favorites when I read it years ago. What's his name? Hawkins, David, is it? I can't remember. And he's got the whole consciousness scale, the best book for understanding human emotions and their frequency. And it's called Power or Force versus Power, or Power versus Force. The difference is, if I'm getting you to do something from the lower frequency emotions, like manipulative, like guilt, shame, lack, grief, sadness, pride, those lower emotions, it comes through as force. So I am pushing my will on you.
Right.
Instead of the higher emotions, which is like love, joy, gratitude, courage, and you come into power then. And then I'm not forcing you to do anything. It's like an invitation into this higher space. And that's the difference between force and power. Like the system forces us to do things. You look at a good leader, a good male leader, he's in his heart energy and he is being what he's talking about. And he's the inspiration for everyone else who's watching him to step up. He's not telling us what we have to do. He's being who he says he is, and then inspiring other men to join him.
Right.
And that's the power as opposed to the force. Right. So, it's imperative now as we step into the new earth energies that we are in our healthy masculine and feminine energies, and this is the difference between force and power. So it's, that book is really good for anyone interested in understanding that.
Force versus power or something?
Yeah, every emotion has an energetic frequency, a measurable energetic frequency, like guilt, shame, anger, sadness, grief. they're all below, I think, about 200. He's got a mark because it compounds the energy, like, so all below there. And that's where the media, the entertainment industry, or the system, they try and keep humanity under 200 because they can implement their force on them. Because when you step over, I think it's courage that's at 200, or apathy is below. There's one that
I think I've seen those charts. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
I think it's courage. Now, remember, courage, the Latin root word is cuore. That's the Italian word. So courage is the heart energy. So when you step into the heart, and then you start taking on these other emotions, such as, it's a yo-yo, you know, it's not a one-way trip.
Sure.
You know, the gratitude, the love, there's a whole lot, responsibility, you know, all those little things that we learn along the way on our healing journey. That changes everything. That puts you in your own power, of the heart power.
Absolutely.
And that's what's going to change the world.
Right. Well, I think also you were talking about levels of awakening, and it's realizing the energies of those, the frequencies of those different emotions, and what they feel like, right? So you know, fear and all of those things don't feel good, but people still go and they return there, right? And it's just like, wait a second, you know how it feels, why would you choose to return there, right? And once you realize that you can choose that, you know, or not, and obviously there are moments we're human, right? So there are moments where you're gonna get knocked into fear, or you're gonna get knocked into anger, but you snap out of it so much quicker once you start to be more aware of it and want to be more accountable. And you used an important word, authenticity. You know, that's Jilly was saying earlier, her word of the year. Her and I talk about authenticity all the time, and how important that is, and how exciting it is to see it kind of coming back. You know, I mean, people like yourself, you know, like just doing, people like Jesse, you know, just doing, speaking their minds, and not being afraid of all of the stuff outside of themselves. They've gone inside and really embrace the power that's inside, right? It seems like that's where you get a lot of your power from, it seems. So so have you got any words of wisdom or philosophies,
Well, they're usually in my writing. I always say I'm not as articulate as, you know, in my vocal as I am the writing. And I've thought about why. And I think the writing, it definitely comes through the heart. It comes from a different realm. Whereas when you're speaking, it's coming from the mind, the mental realm. But I'm getting better. So, yeah, look, you know what you're saying about the heart, you know, and emotions. My personal greatest barometer is the heart. Is like, is this making my heart expand or contract? And that there is my barometer for life, for everything.
I love that. Oh my God.
Whether I meet a person or someone asks me to do something, how do I feel about this? Do I feel, oh yes, you know, expands? And literally we do, we open up, or do we close up? And it's really coming in tune with your body and feeling your body, learning to feel it. I mean, I do yoga every day and Pilates most days, so I'm really in tune with my body. But for those who aren't, it'd be really good to take up some sort of embodiment practice where you're actually coming into your body and emptying the mind a bit and learning to be in tune with it. Because we'll know, you know, when we don't want to do something, if you notice the feeling of your heart, that contraction, as opposed to when, you know, hey, let's go to the beach, you know, and it's like, yes, you know, and that's really the only guidance that anyone needs to go on the right path. Now, that might lead you into the jungle for a year, and your mind might say, hey, you know, I can't do that because I've got bills to pay and family and everything. So that's the difference. You know, what are you going to, most people are just going to, oh, that's a nice little fantasy, maybe when I retire, and they'll never do it. But the heart is the truth, because that's connected to the universal divine spark. Is the heart, is the, what I think is, you know, the feeling that comes through. Because I mean, I personally feel so much more in the heart than the third eye. It's like everyone says, oh, you feel it there, but my intuition, everything for me comes through the heart. So I don't know if people are different, but that's just me. I can only speak for
no, but I can resonate with that, and I do think some people are different. Yes, absolutely. Everybody gets it their own way. But I'm with you. I feel like it's just a feeling, you know, the things that are are good and evil. I always said, I always struggled with organized religion and all of these things that were going on and division in general. But if things had to be divided, it was good and evil to me, and it was like you're either aligned with good or you're aligned with evil, and my intuition, fortunately for me, most of the times told me what was good, what people were good, what activities were good, what spaces and places were good, you know what I mean? So I tried to follow that, I think, most of my life, but
Our feelings are the greatest tool. How does something make us feel? You really got, I mean, even things like, so many people are stuck in drama and gossip and, does that really feel good? Does that, and now,
I'm right there with you. I'm right there. I agree. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
yeah, no, just while I've got into now, it's really important that so many of us the past couple of years were really in that truther scene, the activist scene, and it was an important step because we had to understand what was going on with the system. We had to know who was in control and how we got to the state that we were in. But you can get stuck there. You can get bogged down in the swamp in those rabbit holes. And it's not a high frequency place. No matter what anyone says, it's not, because we're always in the past and we're always focused, and we're always going to be creating more of what we're focused on. So if we're focused on politics and, the deep state and all the shit that's going on there, it's like that's where we're going to stay, and we're creating it and we're cementing it into our reality. So now is the time to shift, and we're creating new earth, and we can only do that by letting go of the politics, because we don't want politics in our new earth. So why the hell are we focusing on it? So let's focus on the new system, the good. We're creating the new system.
What you're saying is so powerful, and I totally connect with everything you're saying, and the energy of what you're saying. It's just so true. And so let's talk about that for a little bit. The precipice that we're at, right? The place that we're at as far as energetically, and what's happening on the earth, and how are we going to get through it? You brought up a couple of good things there about politics. We've got to get rid of politics. Like, are people just so, I mean, I know the answer, I guess, yes. But like, are people just so connected to these old paradigms that they can't even imagine a new paradigm? Because, I mean, I know for me, I don't think I ever thought the government was looking out for my best interest. And I don't know about like YouTube and all of these things listening to what I'm saying. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I mean, I think the things that I've always felt about the world and the way we're divided into races and countries, and the division just kept going. You know what I mean? It just kept getting smaller and smaller until whatever. How do we get past that? What do you
You get past it by, we each are responsible for creating our own reality. So the system will do their very best to keep us giving their energy, our energy to them, because that reinforces the reality they want us to live in. We have to totally detach from the media, the TV, the entertainment industry.
I agree. We need to be living out in nature and growing our own food and, talking to our neighbors. I agree 1,000,000%. But here's a little conundrum that you just made me remember that I had thought of, and I never really got to discuss with anybody. So you're the first one I'm discussing this with. If I believe that there's this corrupt government, there's this malevolent force out there, right, that I'm fighting somehow, right? Let's just leave it as vague as that. If I believe that, but I also believe that my thoughts are powerful and my words are powerful, and that if I even think that I'm creating that, then how do I stop believing that? Will they just disappear if I stop believing in them?
Well, you can believe it, but you can put it on the back burner.
Right.
You know that. You know that. You don't have to give it any more power, because whether you're fighting for or against something, you're cementing that into your reality. So this is what the activist movement, this is why the deep state don't care if we're all activists, because they're getting all their energy pumped into, the situation, whatever war it is, whatever political drama. all this discussion on, you know, on media, they love it because all the energy is plugged in. But of course, it is a necessary step because people think they're doing the right thing, they're being righteous. It is a step, but at some point you just have to let it go. Do I want that in my reality? No. Okay, well, I'm going to start thinking about what I do want and giving that more energy. You can't actively is the word, make it go away. You can only replace it with the energy that you do want to bring into your reality. Because we're living in this holographic world, right? Each individual is creating their own reality.
Right.
So what do you want in your reality? You know, I mean, the first step is to turn off the TV. And then you notice, hey, I don't actually miss it. And it's actually... it's just the most freeing, liberating. You know,
I unplugged from cable probably like 10 years ago. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, exactly. You know. But you know what I mean? So just that
absolutely.
little step. And then you can start disengaging with it, like with Facebook. Okay, I see the headlines coming through, you know, if there was any major thing. But no, don't open it. I don't need to know anything else about it. Right. You know, I'm just more focused on my world, my beautiful inner world now reflected externally that I created for myself, which is my own little piece of paradise.
Sure.
Someone else might not think so because I don't live in a multi-million-dollar mansion.
Right.
But I have peace. I have love in my heart. I have poetry. It's like, I don't want to be, I wouldn't trade places with anyone in the whole world.
Right. Although I agree with you 1,000,000% because I'm super happy. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was I wanted to get your secret because you can see it dripping off of you, the smile, everything. You're happy, and that's great. But you are making me question my decision to not just move to like Costa Rica and just like live on a hut in the beach. Like, how come I haven't done that yet? But I am super happy, you know, where I live, my relationship, everything, you know, who I am. Really, that's the core of it, right? If you're happy with who you are, then nothing else matters, right? Nothing else.
We're each got this individual gift. Like, no one can do exactly what I'm doing. You see,
I love that.
Society programs us to follow other people, follow the stars, try and be like, and people look at other people and they think, oh, you know, they've got what I want because they've got the fame and the glory or followers or whatever. I'm going to try and be like them. Instead of finding their own unique gift. And when you find that, and as you said, you don't care, it's not about how many followers you got. It's just so grateful to be in this place of authenticity and doing what we love doing that, you know, people do resonate with that. So it's a whole different energy of trying to be like someone else. Why? Because you're missing something. You've got to find peace.
Yeah, you just said it, and I've had this conversation recently a lot, and that's how the universe works with me. It keeps this subject matter around my conversations for a couple of weeks at a time to show me how important those things are. But like authenticity, we were talking about it earlier, you can't really fake that. And the other thing that's good about authenticity is people are engaged by it. You know, people are sitting here watching. Like, I see my friend Leslie, who I didn't even know was watching the show, says rumor has it these resets happen quite more often than we think. And I know those are definitely topics of conversation. And she was also saying community. And Jilly's talking about it's where you focus. Yeah, I mean, definitely hot topics of conversation are, you know, what is it called? Ancient Apocalypse, you know, the show that is talking about, you know, the civilizations and how they've become advanced and then fallen and everything started over again. And I mean, honestly, it does feel like that, don't you think? Like, we're getting ready to just like be sitting by the campfire because everything else is going to be broken down. All of the electronics and stuff will be, you know, a pile of stuff.
But, you know, there's a lot being created already in the, you know, the new earth realms. It's like, you know, if you don't have your focus on it, you don't know. You've got to find, you know, there's a hell of a lot going on with technologies and buildings and havens and just, you know, you've got to take yourself there. I always think that, you know, we align with the reality that we embody. So as you do these higher frequency practices, your world changes. That's how you change your world, by becoming a higher frequency, and that reflects then in your world. So when you reach a certain frequency, you start seeing more of the new earth in your reality. Right? But you've got to take yourself there. You can't just sit at home focusing on politics and say, hey, where's new earth?
Right.
You've got to get yourself up frequency level that you align with the new earth energies.
It's so brilliant what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. And this is why I was enjoying what you were talking about with Jesse, because there's such a wisdom to it. It feels like it's interesting. This is also something that's been coming up recently, is kind of connecting the energy of what's happening. So like right now it's just conversation, but even when I'm talking about sound healing, right? So sound healing is something that's becoming very popular, and people are really starting to resonate with it. And not to use like a pun on play on words, but the Tibetan bowls, the crystal healing bowls, right? When you listen to that sound, it sounds like it's coming from inside you. It's like, it's so overwhelming. I forgot where I was going.
It vibrates through your whole body. You can
it vibrates through your whole body, right?
Because remember, we're like 80% water, so all the vibrations are coming through our body. You know, this is how we work. We're literally I don't like vessel because it's like on the sea, the maritime law, so I say vehicle, but we're a water-filled vehicle, and this is how we operate, with water and frequency. And the water is the conduit for the energy and the reaction, you know, like, so yeah, it's so when you're feeling the vibrations of, you can do it with music or with, you know, like just speaking to someone, you know, you feel that when you get the goosebumps or this heart expansion, it's because the energy of what we're seeing is now being channeled through our bodies, through the water and the frequency, and causing these reactions. So yeah, it's beautiful. That's how we're just also connected. You know, the energy that's in me now is already in you now.
Right.
You know, even though you're across there and across the ocean, you know, one thing to say if you were sitting here next to me, oh yeah, we're exchanging energy, but already, you know, like your words have had an effect on me. My words have had an effect on you. That's energy exchange.
Totally. I love that. That's what these conversations are what's so important, I think, and what's so cool. You know, it's like, I guess it's interesting. This is what I was thinking when I was in my head. I was like, oh man, I gotta move to Costa Rica. And then I'm like, but wait, I can't leave this behind. This is technology, right? And this is something I'm really enjoying because of the connective power of what we're doing with it, right? What we're doing with the technology. You know, we're not using it to slander each other and call each other names. You know, we're connecting with each other on a great conversation and exchanging the ideas.
Have your laptop with you. You can do this anywhere in the world.
You're right.
Yeah. You know, that's not an excuse. You're going to have to come up with something better than that.
Awesome. Push me over to where I need to be. I should be broadcasting from Costa Rica, sitting outside, you know, with the
I'll be your first guest, right? When you go to Costa Rica.
Awesome. I love it. Wow. So you're so awesome to talk to, and I knew you would be. I definitely would love to have you back and talk about more. Do you have anything brewing? You said you don't really know. You're just taking it day by day right now. No, you're not.
Well, I got to move house next month, so I'm sort of plotting through. But it's great, you know, because my two sons are sort of grown and flown. So moving from a 3-bedroom place to a 1-bedroom place, I can totally downsize and get rid of so much. So that's all. Once you get through the move, it's actually so liberating, because I'm not a hoarder, or I enjoy living quiet. As long as I got my crystals, and I'll bring my books, even though I don't read them, I do believe in osmosis. You know, a few things, you know, I'll be happy. So just, luckily I've got a couple of months to do it, but cool. So just plodding through.
No pressure. You're just existing right now. I'm going to actually steal a question from my girlfriend. My girlfriend started doing her own broadcast called Unique Peace, and she's talking to people about what brings them peace. and how they help bring others peace. And so it's very kind of along the same lines. But like I said, you're such a pleasure to talk to, because I'm talking to you and all you're doing is smiling back at me like you're just like this big beam of love and energy, and I love that. How do you find peace? How do you find that happiness? What makes you so happy?
Oh, it's inside me. I've worked hard, bloody hard on my healing journey.
Mhm.
When this sort of, look, I read a book in my early 20s which changed my life, and that was Your Erroneous Zones by Wayne Dyer. And I was like, oh my God, you can actually control your thoughts. From there, I just started reading more and more and more. Tibetan Book of Living and Dying, Conversations with God, answered so many questions. And from there, as I said, up to 2012, but I've just done the work. It really, you can't bypass this stuff. You've got to do the work. And this is the result. Honestly, I'm genuinely like this pretty much all the
I love it.
time.
No, it's great.
I might have my moments, but they're very brief now. I, recognize it, and plus, I do my yoga. I'm just I'm cluttered, mentally uncluttered. I think that helps. I don't have to do anything. I mean, I work, but it's a job I love, and I can pick my own hours, and I've created a life of peace. That's where I found peace. I created a life of peace.
Awesome. Well, I got to say, I wish you a lot of success in what you're doing. I feel like if you haven't already been experiencing it, you certainly will, because you're very genuine, and your subject matter is very relevant, and you're a part of the shift. You're a part of what's going on right now, right? You're right on the
We
cusp
all
of
have
it.
to be. This is the thing. We all have to be. No one's going to take us there except ourselves. This is the illusion. There's no savior. There's no Trump or Jasara or Jesus savior that's coming. We have to do the work.
I love it. I think that's very motivating, and I'm gonna use that as your words of wisdom. We have to do the work. I think that's great, and like I said, I would love to have you back. Let me sign off the show. I'm going to put you backstage, but don't go away. I want to talk to you. But thank you so much for being here. You are such a wonderful human being. I hope everybody enjoyed Gemma Star, and I know Jilly. I also saw she ordered the other book. Where is it? Power versus Force.
Such a good book.
She ordered it. Jilly is just absorbing everything. Anytime you tell her there's a good resource for awakening a little bit more, she's like, oh, I'm gonna get that. So thank you for being here and connecting with the collective. Tim is in saying thank you. I love how courteous.
Thanks, Tim.
Always welcoming people and saying goodbye. So I'm going to put you backstage. I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Okay, bye.
I got to decompress. That was so awesome. I love finding people that I want to talk to and inviting them on the show and them saying yes. So far, all of those things are, I love that. And then having a great conversation. That was awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I don't have I keep forgetting to put my calendar up in front of me to tell you who I'm with next week, but you guys know it's going to be a good show next week. It might be Adam and Zalaco, who I was supposed to have around Christmas time. We had to postpone that one. But whoever it is, you'll see it on Facebook, my posts, my obnoxious posts about coming to see me next Thursday, and that's where I'll be. And I will see you then. Peace.